After diving into the emotional whirlwind that was Squid Game Season 2, I've crafted a mind-blowing, spine-chilling theory about what could possibly unfold next. Buckle up, because this journey is packed with shocking twists, gut-wrenching losses, and revelations that will completely shift how you see the story.
What?
We'll explore how a character presumed dead might actually still be alive, and I'll back it all up with hidden details you might have missed, along with insights from the cast and director. This theory reshapes everything we expect to see in the third and final season of Squid Game. Let's recap where we left off. Season 2 ended with a heart-stopping cliffhanger. Gi-hun, leading a rebellion against the guards, vowed to dismantle the games from within. But just as it seemed he might succeed, Player 01, revealed to be the frontman, betrayed him in the most devastating way possible. Gi-hun was forced to witness the execution of his closest friend, the same one who used to gamble on horse races with him in Season 1. Gi-hun himself was captured, restrained, and left powerless. This betrayal feels particularly brutal, especially considering Gi-hun's history. He should have seen it coming after being deceived by Il-nam in the past, but once again, he was blindsided. Season 3 is expected to pick up right where Season 2 left off, as the stakes couldn't be higher. Here's what we know. The final season will likely continue during the same round of games, since there are still 3 challenges left out of the 6-game cycle. The VIPs wouldn't dare leave without getting their fill of carnage and chaos. But the big question remains, what's next? The games must go on. The next chapter will undoubtedly begin with a vote, determining whether or not the games should continue. This moment is critical. The odds heavily favor the remaining players continuing, especially given the significant thinning of the crowd during the nighttime skirmishes and the rebellion. Fewer players mean a larger prize pool, which will only fuel their desperation to press forward. One theory that's gained traction among fans revolves around the train track game teased in the Season 2 credits. Some believe it's a flashback to the 2015 games, the very year In-ho, the frontman, emerged victorious. If the final season starts with a flashback, it could dive deep into the psyche of one of the series' most mysterious and compelling characters. What drove In-ho to take on the mantle of the frontman? Was it a loss of faith in humanity, or was he manipulated into his role? Unpacking his story would give us crucial context and set the stage for a gripping finale. Prepare for devastation. Just like in Season 1, we can expect to see games that force players to confront each other directly. Dark, soul-crushing challenges that leave everyone emotionally shattered. Think of the Marbles game, but even more brutal. Without Gi-hun to warn the players about the psychological traps ahead, many will team up based on trust or personal connections, unknowingly setting themselves up for heartache. They will make the son and mother go against each other. Meanwhile, other players may face agonizing moral dilemmas. Imagine if the train track game turns out to be the series' twisted take on the trolley problem, forcing participants to choose between sacrificing one person or condemning a group. Such choices could push characters to their limits, revealing the darkest corners of their souls. And this is only the beginning. Several times throughout the story, we've seen crucial decisions made involving one particular person, typically the one they hold most dear. But imagine this. What if the frontman goes a step further, forcing Gi-hun into an impossible choice about who to save? This kind of psychological warfare could shatter his spirit entirely. It wouldn't be far-fetched to picture the frontman manipulating the games to target those Gi-hun cares about most. Such a scenario would align perfectly with the show's growing theme of sacrificing a few for the supposed greater good, creating a disturbingly cruel punishment round for keeping Gi-hun alive. After all, the VIPs crave drama and would undoubtedly revel in watching him suffer for igniting rebellion. From what we saw in the first season, the games were foreshadowed through artwork on the dormitory walls. For Season 2, some of the illustrations suggest games resembling monkey bars, and perhaps even a strategic twist inspired by chess. What do you think these games might represent? Share your thoughts below. Let's talk about Player 246, the artist with a sick daughter. Many fans are speculating that his story isn't over yet. Why? Because of how he was taken down during the rebellion. If you pay close attention, there's a small but crucial detail that changes everything. The guard who shot him appears to be number 11, the same woman who later visited his daughter at the hospital. Initially, her weapon is aimed directly at his chest, but there's a subtle shift, almost as if she hesitates, showing a glimmer of mercy. This suggests he wasn't fatally injured, and there's a good chance she might try to save him from the organ traders. If this happens, chaos is sure to follow. Guard number 11's previous interference already sparked tension among the other guards, and her decision to help player 246 could escalate things further. Picture this: she forces the organ traders to release him, and the two of them form an alliance to rescue Gi-hun. This idea might sound far-fetched, but it opens the door to some mind-blowing twists. Now let's move on to a betrayal you might not see coming. There's mounting evidence to suggest the frontman could turn against the organization itself. His past gives us plenty of reasons to believe this. He once deeply loved his wife, and her death left him utterly broken. There's also the moment when he chose to spare his brother Junho's life, all while maintaining the facade of loyalty to the system. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. What if the frontman secretly ordered the sea captain to recover Junho's body after he fell? Think about it. What are the odds of a random boat conveniently finding him at just the right time? It's far more likely this was carefully orchestrated by the frontman himself. This theory hints at a complex internal struggle. Despite everything, fragments of his humanity might still remain. His love for his wife, his mother, and even his brother. And here's a darker twist. What if the frontman was the original mastermind behind the organ trade within the games? We know his wife passed away from liver disease, a tragedy that deeply affected him. Even with his winnings, he couldn't save her because there was no available donor. This bitter realization could have warped his view of humanity, making him believe people are inherently selfish and unworthy of compassion. This belief might have set him on the path to his current role, where he sees the contestants, drowning in debt and desperation, as expendable. The games are designed in a way that those eliminated can serve an ulterior purpose, harvesting their organs. It's possible that In-ho initially joined the games with the hope of obtaining a liver for his wife from one of the eliminated participants. Alternatively, he may have joined too late to save her, and decided to prevent others from enduring the same fate. This theory carries weight, especially when considering his self-loathing moment during the relay race, where he slapped himself and labeled himself as useless. In-ho's feelings of failure for not being able to save his wife explain his intense reaction. Reflecting on how In-ho dealt with the doctor who conspired with the guards in Season 1, it seems plausible that the frontman may have been the originator of the organ trade. After all, setting up a fake drop in the incinerators wasn't a coincidence. It was a deliberate, well-funded operation. This also sheds light on why In-ho remained involved in the games. Perhaps he was still clinging to the hope of saving his wife, but after losing her, he saw no reason to return to his previous life. Whether his initial intention was to save his wife, or he continued the organ trade to help others, it's evident that a part of him still holds on to hope for humanity. The show's creator has emphasized the contrast between In-ho and Gi-hun, with both characters symbolizing opposing views on whether humanity is worth saving. This contrast might lead to a compelling narrative where In-ho attempts to break Gi-hun's spirit, trying to make him abandon his faith in humanity. However, this effort is likely to backfire, as Gi-hun's conviction in the goodness of people is unshakable. In-ho's fascination with Gi-hun and his principles stems from seeing a reflection of his own past self. Despite his hardened exterior, the frontman still seems open to rediscovering his belief in humanity, and Gi-hun might be the one to rekindle the empathy in him. The same empathy that once drove In-ho to donate a kidney to his brother. The ultimate climax of the story could feature the frontman making the ultimate sacrifice by setting off explosives, as hinted at in Season 1, without warning the VIPs, thereby destroying everything, including himself. But why would he take such drastic action? There's a clear disconnect between the frontman and the VIPs. His interactions with them reveal a thinly veiled resentment, as if he's barely holding back his disdain for their exploitative ways. Having been betrayed before, In-ho might reach a point where he decides to turn the tables. While Gi-hun could push In-ho toward a change of heart, it's hard to imagine the frontman surviving the finale after all he's done. One possible conclusion to the series involves the games coming to an end. Gi-hun and the remaining allies might locate the island and rescue the surviving participants. This Squid Game Avengers scenario could culminate with Gi-hun deciding the fate of the frontman and possibly the VIPs as well. In a display of his unwavering belief in humanity, Gi-hun might even spare their lives, choosing instead to distribute his winnings to the families of those who lost loved ones in the games. An emotional finale could show Gi-hun visiting his mother's grave, only to receive a call from an unknown number. Initially, he'd fear it's the game's organizers, but instead, it would be his daughter calling. Hearing her voice say "Appa," Gi-hun would finally feel worthy of facing her again, his expression radiating pure joy as the screen fades to black. While this would be a heartwarming way to conclude the series, it might not align with the show's darker tone. The conclusion of the show might take an unexpected turn, with sinister number 6, Gi-hun, stepping into the spotlight. During a recent interview, the actor portraying Gi-hun hinted at the possibility of becoming both the leader of the island and the orchestrator of the deadly games. His cryptic response, both yes and no, leaves plenty of room for speculation. Imagine this. After gaining control of the island, Gi-hun flips the script by forcing the VIPs and guards into the games themselves, where survival is nearly impossible. Such a twisted finale would align with the show's dark themes. Gi-hun's descent into cruelty has already been foreshadowed. He justified the brutal night fights as a necessary evil, signaling his moral compass may already be broken. Another possibility is that Gi-hun triumphs in the games for a second time, but at a devastating cost. Witnessing the people around him fall once more might shatter his psyche, leaving him bitter and unrecognizable. This could lead to the darkest outcome, Gi-hun spiraling into despair, losing all faith in humanity, and inevitably becoming the next Frontman. If this were the case, it would mean In-ho succeeded in breaking Gi-hun's spirit, at least temporarily. However, hope may still linger. What if players like Guard 11 and Player 246 join forces with In-ho and the military to stage a rescue? After taking control of the island, Gi-hun might face a choice: show mercy to the VIPs and the Frontman, or succumb to his growing darkness, making irreversible decisions that could define his fate. On the other hand, the narrative might follow a bitter end trajectory. Like Il-nam before them, both Gi-hun and In-ho have prioritized ambition over family, setting them on a tragic path. This disregard for their loved ones suggests they're destined to meet the same lonely fate as their predecessor. Considering In-ho's actions, it's nearly impossible to envision him surviving. If Gi-hun takes the same bleak path, he too may face a grim ending. Yet there's room for a jaw-dropping twist. What if Gi-hun and In-ho sacrifice themselves to dismantle the games entirely? And what if Gi-hun uncovers a shocking truth, that the games are part of a global network, and his efforts only stopped one iteration? This revelation could set the stage for a spin-off series, where Gi-hun infiltrates the international games as a frontman to destroy them from within. But what do you think? How do you envision the most-watched show on Netflix ending? Share your boldest fan theories in the comments, and don't forget to dive into one of these exciting videos.